O'Reilly with LAK Formación tailor-made solutions for your business. Hope you're all doing very well today. It is Wednesday and I'm here with you from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. It's coffee time. So I hope you have your coffee. I've got a little one today. So what am I going to be doing with you today? Well, we're going to be looking at various different things. First, we're going to do our news roundup as usual. We'll have a look at just what's happening, what happened during the night while we were sleeping. Then we'll look at 31 most hard to pronounce words in English, and that's for English people as well. Then I'll be looking at some idioms in relation to animals and how we can translate this and use them in the workplace as well. Always useful to know these idioms. And we'll also be looking at frases in English. So you're going to hear me attempt to use your language and then translate that into English for the workplace. So I hope you're all doing very well. Let's jump in and we're going to look at what was happening while we were sleeping. So I'm going to reduce myself here in the corner and we'll have a look. So let me just do that. I'll get rid of this and we'll make this a bit smaller here. Okay. Right, so here as you can see we have Rishi Sunak, the newly appointed Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. If you're not exactly sure what the difference between the United Kingdom and Great Britain is and Britain, it's quite an interesting thing. I think a lot of people don't actually know. I'll try and tell you. So if you take England, Scotland, Wales, England, Scotland and Wales are on the island of Britain. Then after that you have Great Britain. And Great Britain encompasses the islands perhaps that belong to Britain, like the Isle of Man, Jersey, which is in fact right beside the French coast. Then if you have the United Kingdom, that includes Northern Ireland. So the United Kingdom is the island of Britain and Northern Ireland. Britain is the island and Great Britain is the other small islands included. Might be wrong on the islands and what exactly Great Britain is, but that's essentially what I think it is. And I really think the name Great Britain comes from where you have in the north of France a place called Brittany and then Grande-Bretagne. So often you'll hear this as well, which is like Outer Brittany. And it's used as well when we talk about London, for example. You'll often hear in the greater London region. That means in the region outside of London. So I find it quite interesting. I don't know if you do, but that essentially is the difference between Great Britain and the United Kingdom. And if you didn't know, there is an ongoing situation in the north of Ireland and in Scotland at the moment. So in Scotland, there is a party that is very popular that wants to have independence from the United Kingdom. And then in Northern Ireland, recently, it was an area with conflict. Let's say it's quite political, but if there is a referendum there could be a referendum to join the Republic of Ireland like before, or to stay with the United Kingdom. That will be in the news later on. I honestly don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. That's my opinion. But it's interesting to see what's happening anyway. So let's get on with Rishi Sunak, newly appointed Prime Minister of the UK. Rishi Sunak, Canada, Brittany Griner, the news of the night. Okay, let's have a look. Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak stress the need to support Ukraine in their first exchange. So these guys have already spoken. The American president and the new British Prime Minister agreed during their first telephone call on Tuesday, October 25, to cooperate to support Ukraine and stand up to China. That stand up to China is defend yourself, confront in a way. Now, I'm going to highlight something here. Cooperate. This is a new thing. I'll go back out again. A new thing in English. Before, we would have a hyphen between the two O's, but now many people are taking away the hyphen or the dash in the middle. I'm just saying cooperate like this. We don't have a situation in English like you do in Spanish of a central body who takes care of language and this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. We don't have that in English. English is quite fluid, and some things change and they stick, and some things change and they're just fashionable and they go away. So English is quite fluid. We need to be flexible as always. And often what happens in this situation is you'll have a newspaper that decides not to use the dash anymore, then people follow, and it becomes, and then all of a sudden 5 years later nobody is using the hyphen. So just a punctuation point there. The White House, in a press release, said, that was in The Guardian, the two leaders who reaffirmed the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States were talking just hours after Mr. Sunak's accession to Downing Street. Downing Street is it's where the Prime Minister of England lives, in number 10. I'll show you. So often you'll hear it referred to in the newspapers as number 10 said, and in the United States it's the White House. So here it's quite a Georgian house on Downing Street, and it's number 10 Downing Street. The Minister for Finance, I believe, lives, or the Chancellor of the Exchequer lives next door. Okay, so Downing Street, Mr. Sunak promised Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that the UK's support for Ukraine would be unwavering and as strong as ever under his tenure as Prime Minister. That means his time as Prime Minister. A Downing Street spokesperson also said. Spokesperson is portavoz. Next, in Russia, justice rejects the appeal of American basketball player Brittany Griner. A bit of context for this. Brittany Griner is a women's basketball player in the WNBA, which is the Women's National Basketball Association in the United States. And often these players play in the women's NBA, and then they're not paid very well. So in the off season, or when they have a break, they go and play in other countries where they can get a lot more money, and Russia, for example. So she is a basketball player who was stopped on her way out of Russia just after the beginning of the war, and she was stopped, and it's kind of seen that she's a bit of a political prisoner. The court in Krasnogorsk in the Moscow region on Tuesday upheld the star's conviction for cannabis trafficking. She was caught on her way leaving Moscow or Russia with you had cigarettes, but you also have the vape. The vape is the nicotine in a liquid form, and she had some of this with some cannabis. So she was caught, and this is illegal in Russia. Increasing pressure on the United States to negotiate her release. Now, her greatest chance of release may be at the end of negotiations between the United States and Russia, two countries whose relations have been at their lowest in decades. So basically, she is kind of a political prisoner in Russia at the moment. It is seen this way, and the United States are trying to release her. The people in the United States putting pressure on their government. There's a woman, she's American, she's a black American, don't forget her, she is stuck in Russia, you need to help. So let's see what happens there, if there could be an exchange. Okay, you give me this prisoner, I'll give you this prisoner. Prisoner exchange. Let's see what happens. Negotiations are happening. In Canada, a court rejects a historic compensation agreement for Indigenous children. The Canadian Human Rights Tribunal rejected on Tuesday a key element of the agreement described as historic by the federal government, according to which Ottawa was to pay 40 billion Canadian dollars, nearly 29.5 billion euros, to compensate First Nations children. First Nations is the politically correct or correct term we use for what you would call Indians before. That term is considered politically incorrect. First Nations is the correct term. First Nations children and families harmed by the discriminatory child welfare system on reserve, CBC reports. In particular, the court found that the agreement excluded certain children. Okay, it's a case that I raised with my students yesterday, talking about repatriations, and often this involves money. So the damage that was done to you as a group before, often now in the courts, people are looking for monetary repatriations. And quite recently in the news was Poland looking for money from Germany because of World War II. Then, of course, you have the African Americans who were brought over as slaves. Some of their welfare groups looking for money for being brought over as slaves. And the situation I spoke with my students yesterday is, what about colonizing countries? And the situation was, is it very far in history? Everybody was doing it at the time. Is that an excuse? Is that relevant? Should Spain, for example, pay lots of money to former colonies? Should France do the same? Should Portugal do the same? Holland, the United Kingdom? So this is something that is coming up in the news quite a lot. Well, I would say more and more. And it seems, when you think about it, in the beginning, it seems a bit ridiculous, perhaps. But it's gathering momentum. And to gather momentum means to get stronger and faster. I don't think we're going to hear the end of this. So we say, watch this space. Keep your eye on this. Okay, so that's the news of the night while you were sleeping. Now what I want to do is I want to just catch up quickly. No, I'm going to go into these hard to pronounce words in English, and it's going to be hard for me as well, because these are for English speakers. So I just want to make sure that you guys can see. And let me just find what we have here. Okay, now I'm going in. Okay, so 31 hard to pronounce words in the English language. Okay, let's go down. Let's have a look. I think I have to click on something. It's in a gallery. Okay, yeah. Let's make it big. Not that big. Okay. Over here on the left. So as you can see, I think most people, when they see this word in pink, are like, oh no, how do I pronounce this? But of course, we have the phonetic use under here. Anathema. Anathema. And often this is very, very interesting in English, and something that can help you with your pronunciation, because often the vowels are pronounced with this okay, and you can see it here. Na, that's normal, that's a regular one. Regular means normal in English. And then again we have it twice, anathema. And this is known in English as the schwa. It's kind of a silly name, I don't like it, to be honest. But the schwa is this sound, because we don't say, for example, America. If you listen to when people pronounce America, if I say it very slow, I'll say America. So I'm saying America. And this is something if you are conscious of, and if you keep, and if you listen and you want to focus on getting correct pronunciation, do realize this sound exists in English, and it's very important. Okay, so don't be surprised that it says anathema. What is it? There are too many A's for this one to roll off the tongue easily, and if you're wondering what it means, you're not alone. Anathema, that is someone or something intensely disliked. Okay, it is someone or something intensely disliked. Good. It is in the top 1% of the looked up words on Merriam-Webster. When you look up something, it's a great phrasal verb. We use it all the time. It's when you want to find something online, for example, in a dictionary, you look something up. Look up a word. It means to research. And often we won't say, I need to research a word. I need to find something on the internet. Often we'll say, look up. Very common, very useful phrasal verb. Excellent. Let's go to the next one. I'll put that phone on silent. Another one here. Just following the phonetics, anemone. Anemone. Okay. Anemone. Again, you see the all over the place here. Anemone, anemone. It's okay if you say anemone. That's not going to change too much. Okay, anemone. Even Nemo couldn't pronounce this word in the Pixar movie, and he lives in one. If you can get through the first two syllables, you're in the clear. You're in the clear is you are safe. You're in the clear. Okay, you are safe. Anemone. Let's move on. Yes, this is the South Pole, and it's Antarctic. Antarctic. Those double C's spell trouble, just like the similarly named Arctic. The southern pole often gets renamed Antarctic. That's true. So it's Antarctic, but often you'll hear people say Antarctic, because Antarctic is kind of difficult, so we just say Antarctic. Kind of like February. Most people say February. Okay, this was kind of considered I have to zoom out here. A kind of long word, anti-establishmentarianism. This is just kind of a funny word that we talk about in English for saying that it's quite a long word, or the longest word in English, or something like this. For most people, it's the longest word they know. For others, it's a bona fide tongue twister. Tongue twister is when it's difficult to say something. I'll give you an example in a moment. At a whopping total 28 letters and 13 syllables, psst, it means being opposed to the withdrawal of state support from an established church. It means being opposed to the withdrawal of state support from an established church. Okay, so in this country, for example, in Spain, before, the government would give money to the church, and if the government stopped doing that, and you didn't like it, and there was a movement, this movement would be anti-establishmentarianism. And here we had tongue twister. Tongue twister are what we do for like children. It's kind of funny to say. So a typical example of a tongue twister in English would be, she sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashore. And it's when you say it fast, it's very difficult. That's what we call a tongue twister. Moving on. Make sure we can see it over on the left. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Asterisk. Asterisk. Linguists know that pesky metathesis makes this typographical symbol hard to say. Metathesis or metathesis That's when people accidentally rearrange sounds or syllables in a word, like a toddler saying spaghetti, paschetti. In this case, it's the final S and K that do the little switcheroo, coming in as asterisks. Ah, yes. Because a lot of people, it's the star sign that you do in punctuation, and it's known in English as the asterisk. Did I just do it? I did. I do. I should. It says the asterisk. Ah, yeah. So it's very common that people do what I just do. We say asterisk. Yeah, asterisk. That sounds almost strange because almost everybody gets it wrong. Okay, asterisk. Got to remember that. Oh yeah. Okay. Brewery. No, it's not just booze talking. Discussing beer making bars while sober is hard enough thanks to that tricky middle syllable. Brewery. Yeah, often people would just say brewery. But it's brewery. Brewery is where you make alcohol, for example. You make beer in a brewery. Oh, we have an expression in English, which is when you get together and you have a drinking session and you're drinking alcohol and stuff, you have a party. And we say somebody is incompetent. They're not able to do something. So if you're in the workplace, you could say, he couldn't organize a party in a brewery. That's an expression we use in English. He's so incompetent, he wouldn't be able to organize a party in a brewery. He couldn't organize a party in a brewery. A used expression in English. Cavalry. Metastasis strikes again. It doesn't help that many people also confuse cavalry, armed forces on horseback, with the place cavalry, that's what I said, yeah. With the place Calvary as in the Bible. Okay. Cavalry, which is armed, yes, the armed forces on horseback, and Calvary. I don't think that's a big problem. Not this word. Okay, this one is big for learners of English. Comfortable. Okay, comfortable. I disagree. It's so easy to skip that t sound, but just because you're relaxing doesn't mean you should give up on enunciation. Comfortable. Okay, that's quite interesting, because then that means I'm wrong and most of my students are right. Because most natives tend to say comfortable. So what am I missing? Comfortable. No, I think we say that it's okay. The one thing, what I want to stress for learners here of English is the main thing is not to say table. It's very normal to say comfortable. It's quite common, but it's table. This requires a lot of practice. You need to do this on your own. It requires a lot of practice, but it sounds lazy for English people to say comfortable, but the sound is correct. But saying comfortable, I'll just say it sounds strange. It needs practice. I do understand that it obviously looks like table. You can see it, but English is crazy. And as you can see, again, bull. That should just accept that English is crazy, okay? Oh, yes. Yes, I say this wrong. Dissimulation is another linguistic phenomenon you can blame mispronunciations on. That's when similar consonants or vowels in a word become less alike. Defibrillator becoming defibrillator, yeah. Defibrillator. I would have said this wrong. Defibrillator. Yeah. It's like when I'm saying crocodile in Spanish, it's cocodrilo, and I just keep saying crocodilo. Defibrillator. Defibrillator. I can't remember what I would have said before. Defibrillator. Yeah, this one is pronounced wrong by everybody. Okay. This one, not so much. Deteriorate. Maybe difficult to pronounce. Difficult to pronounce. Deteriorate. The first R in deteriorate gets the same treatment. Deteriorate. Okay. Deteriorate. Many things. Decay, decline, degenerate, devolve. And that's just the D's. Deteriorate, when something gets worse over time. This is not too bad. Explicit. I'm saying take out almost everyone's on the list. Okay. Explicit. I wouldn't say explicit. Explicit. If I said explicit, people would look at me strangely. Explicit. Explicit. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Right, this is exponentially. Exponentially. Again, what you'll notice is this the schwa everywhere in English. Exponentially gets sometimes exponentially gets exponentially harder to say the more you say it. This one is just awful. February. 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 Most people say February or February. Let's hear. People mispronounce this one so often that many dictionaries accept it either way. Yeah. According to Merriam-Webster, it's the American dictionary that's quite common, and the Oxford or Cambridge dictionaries in the UK. The Y heard from many speakers is not an intrusion, rather a common pronunciation of the vowel U after the consonant, as in January and annual. Yeah, February. That's what I do, yeah, the U. Very difficult to pronounce. I say February. Now, at 29 letters, this word has earned the unofficial title of the longest non-technical word in the English language. Don't let its length fool you. It simply means the act or habit of estimating something as worthless. Flocky knock. Oh, I remember someone telling me this before when I was in secondary school, or have I lost it? Flockshenosh. Okay, I can't pronounce that word. Pilification, anyway. I remember my friend telling me this word. Yeah, no idea. I'm not even going to. Okay, ignominious. 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 Yeah, difficult one to pronounce. CNN anchor Jake Tapper recently used this word on air and quickly prompted a 4,695% surge in lookups on Merriam-Webster. A synonym for dishonorable or despicable. It's perfect for talking about controversial politics if you're brave enough to say it. Ignominious. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad. Ignominious. Ignominious. Moving on. Oh. Isthmus. Okay, that's not too bad. Isthmus. Those double S's are absolutely killer. Thankfully for most people, don't live on narrow strips of land and can ignore the geographical term altogether. Must mean a narrow strip of land. Okay, let's do a few more. Yeah. Library. A lot of people saying library. Library. Difficult. Biblioteca in Spanish. I remember when I came here first, I would see libreria, and I always thought that a bookshop was, in fact, a library. Library. A lot of people saying library. It's not even noticeable. Okay. Let's go back. This is a state name in the United States. Over here, I don't know how I get, there we go. Massachusetts. Very difficult. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, very famous university. The historic state name comes from the native people's Algonquian word, according to the online etymology dictionary. But for people outside of New England, that last S has the unfortunate tendency to turn into a sh sound. Massachusetts. Okay, so if you say the ch and a sh, it sounds like mierda. Okay, Massachusetts, yeah. If you say this like a sh, Massachusetts. Very good. Okay. Ooh. This is controversial. Often. So we drop the T. You may use this common word often enough, but if you're saying it as often, you're technically in the wrong. Merriam-Webster prefers the T-less version since it better reflects the evolution from its Middle English roots. This is the type of word I would often use. I use the T, but there will be cases where, and Merriam-Webster is the most common dictionary people use in the United States. I would say if you say often or often, it sometimes depends on how quick or where it comes in your sentence. Absolutely fine to say often. Often, yeah, absolutely. The two are fine. Onomatopoeia. Okay, I was saying this wrong because I would say pay. Buzz, hiss, splash, meow. Okay, so these are onomatopoeic words. Those so simple words are also perfect examples of onomatopoeia, which is the act of naming something similar to the sound associated with it. So a buzz, buzz, hiss, hiss, splash, splash, like a splash in the water, and meow. Onomatopoeia. Yes, I was saying onomatopoeia. Okay. Last one. Oh, I think this is about birds, is it? Orthonorite. No. Okay. I'm gonna get it. No, not gonna get it. Too difficult. Laryngological. Otorhinolaryngological. Oh, almost got it. Otorhinolaryngological. No. Otorhinolaryngological. What is it? No one wants to say otolaryng. Otolaryngologist. Otolaryngologist. Okay, somebody who works with the throat, a specialist, throat specialist. Yeah, otolaryngologist. Oh, yes. I'm an otolaryngologist. Yeah, can you say it? Okay, one for the road. One for the road means one more, the last one. Often when you go drinking, it's a common drinking expression. It's like, okay, uno por el camino. I think that's what you say in Spanish. One for the road. Here we go. Phenomenon. Yes, okay. Difficult, I suppose, for everybody and perhaps foreign speakers, non-natives. The best part of the word phenomenon is talking about multiple phenomena. Although if you'd like to use the more boring phenomenons, the other plural is technically correct as well. Phenomenons are. Here's a question as well. Do you say fish for the plural, or do you say fishes? This was asked. Somebody asked me the other day, and I said, well, I've always known fish, 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, but I do hear it being used more commonly now to say fishes as plural. So again, English with lots more people from outside speaking and making English their own language, like you guys, as you become have more of an effect on the language, I think fishes is becoming more acceptable. I don't mind. In the beginning, you're like, it's wrong, but as it gets used more and more. Okay, so we'll leave it there. And what I wanted to look at was jumping over here. I'm going to look at in a second. We were talking about before, what was it? The situation that Elon Musk is doing with the robots in he's making these new AI robots that can help us. Well, here we have a situation in Japan where robots are actually helping people already in retirement homes. I think this is really interesting. Is it something that would be interesting for you? What do you think? Do you think it's kind of sad that or unfortunate that a robot is going to help you in a retirement home? Would you prefer that your children are going to help you, or a nurse? I think the thing is, later in life, we all want to think that we're going to be in our house and we will have a human taking care of us. But the reality is, for most people, that's going to be very, very expensive. So then, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is an old folks home or a retirement home, which is quite common here in this country. But then, what's the word I want to use? Like, human labor can then cost too much money, maybe cause too many problems. I remember talking to someone recently telling me that when they have somebody taking care of their family at home, if that person is sick, if that person doesn't come, there's nothing you can do. It's not taken care of. There will be no replacement. So the result is, in the future, it could be quite possible that we will have these robots taking care of us. So let me as the world is aging, in Japan, in 2020, 20% of retirement homes used robots, in particular, to help them monitor residents and collect their vital parameters. Okay, so this is in Japan. In 2020, 20% of retirement homes already using AI robots. So I'm going to just put on my headphones and I'm going to show you guys a video here I was looking at earlier. And give you an example of how, perhaps give you a visual example of this. Is from the Financial Times.
Which physically support older people. Its latest invention, now available at hospitals and universities in Japan for leasing, is a robot that glides around like R2-D2 from Star Wars. The machine, called HSR, or Human Support Robot, only has one arm that's dedicated to a single task: picking things up. The technological challenge is still big. Even a simple task, such as picking up a bottle of water, isn't easy. At times, the HSR fails to grasp it firmly enough or deliver it properly to the user. Elderly people at the rehabilitation ward of Fujita Health University Hospital in Aichi Prefecture are using Toyota's robotic machines to help with their ailments. Yaiko Matsuki, a 64-year-old patient, was paralyzed on the left side of her body after suffering a stroke a year ago.
私も速く走れなんていうこと、風を感じるなんてことはできないでしょう。自転車も乗れないし、そのスピードの風、 自然の風じゃなくて自分で何かやった時の風を感じるっていうことがこれで風ないですけど感じるんです、昔の風を。
With both the human support robot and the robotic machines, cost has played a big part in the design and functionality. The HSR only has one arm, partly because it was less complex and less expensive than having two.
今の技術の進歩からするといろんな機能をいろんなセンサーをつけたりいろんな
Okay, so that's quite interesting. I wonder what you guys think. Are you guys interested? Is this something? I think in the beginning, it's something that we could be worried about. It's something that we don't like the idea of, perhaps too much. We prefer human contact. But the reality is that human labor can cost too much money, and it can be very helpful. As you can see, this woman had a problem with her movement, but it enabled her to what's the word I'm looking for, to continue and to also, to have more freedom. And that other robot, its only use is to pick up bottles. I'm going to take off these headphones. I think AI is here. I think it's here to stay, and I think it could be a good thing. So yeah, that's interesting. Already in Japan, they are using this. This is from the FT, Financial Times. I do recommend having a look at their website. Also listening to some of their podcasts. There's some really good stuff there from the Financial Times. And you can listen to it on podcasts, for example, as well, free on Spotify or whatever platform you use. Very useful, good. I've also plugged or mentioned The Economist before, which I think is really good. And I think it's like I said, watch this space. Let's see what happens with AI and robots in the future. Like I said, this is from the Financial Times, the soft side of robots in elderly care. Is this something that worries you guys for the future? How will people take care of you? I'm in my 40s, but I'm already thinking, I wonder what's going to happen. Ideally, my ideal situation is I have everyone around me in my house when I'm older taking care of me, but it's not really realistic. If we can get robots organized in the house in the future, and you give me if the Wi-Fi is working, I'll be perfectly happy. Robot, Wi-Fi, thank you very much. That's okay for me. Okay, so another thing, and that's again, robots. What do you guys think? Let me know. I want to now look at some phrases, okay? Because I quickly have 15 minutes here. I want to look at some phrases, expressions for the office, and then I want to look at some animal idioms. So let's jump into that. I'll go, what I'll do is first I'll go to the animal idioms, okay? Right, these are the animal idioms that perhaps you might be able to use today. Let's make it bigger so you can sheep, so you can see. I'm already saying it. Okay, animal idioms, black sheep. This term is usually used to describe an odd member of a group. It could be used to refer to a person who is considered bad by the rest of their family. Steve is the black sheep of the family. This is normally how we commonly use this expression, is to say the person who is the bad person of your family, the person the family perhaps is ashamed of. They don't like what they did. They give them a bad name in the neighborhood. They somehow went to prison or whatever. The bad person of the family, the person who doesn't do the right thing. Sometimes these people can be successful, of course. The black sheep of the family. Okay, number 2, to bug someone. A bug is the American word for insect, UK, insect, bug in the United States. And to bug someone is to irritate somebody, to annoy somebody. And something can bug you. I use this quite often. It really bugs me when somebody, I don't know, always asks me for a pen. So to be irritating or to ask a person a series of questions. This pronunciation here is series, TV series. The other word you're thinking of is serious. That's when it's a serious situation. This pronunciation here is series. This idiom has a lot of variations. For example, stop bugging me or bug off. Go away, bug off. They also mean to irritate someone, but they are usually associated with telling the person to go away too. Okay. I generally use it when something annoys me, when something bothers me. It really bugs me. But when bug off is not common. Maybe in the United States it's common, but in the UK it's not common. Example, stop bugging me. You're asking so many questions and it's distracting. Number 3 is definitely used to have butterflies in your stomach. Butterflies are mariposas. Is to be very nervous or anxious about something. It's usually used when people are doing something for the first time or attending an important event, describing the churning sensation in your stomach. It says that feeling in your stomach before you give a presentation, before an exam or something like this is butterflies in your stomach. Number 4 is cold turkey. Quitting something cold turkey means that you stop a certain habits abruptly, usually without any preparation. Here we go. I stopped drinking coffee cold turkey last month. So I just stopped. I didn't reduce the amount from 3 to 2 to 1. I didn't reduce. I just stopped. I went. Often you'll hear people say, I went cold turkey. Most commonly used about drugs. When this is where it comes from. I think it's because of the skin or something like this. Something happens to the skin. But the expression is used now for lots of things. Cold turkey, to stop something completely. Number 5, cash cow. Cash cow is used to describe something as being dependable source of income. Example, the company relied heavily on their best-selling product. It was their cash cow. So if we take the cash cow, perhaps in McDonald's, it's the Big Mac. Okay, all the other burgers are rotating, for example, but the cash cow is what brings people to McDonald's is the Big Mac. That's an example. Number 6, cast pearls before swine. This simply means to give a gift to someone who does not appreciate it or has no use for it. For example, giving fancy jewelry to a homeless person who would rather have a hot meal. Why did you give Tom that for his birthday? You know he won't use it. You're casting pearls before swine. The visual here is pearls are the perlas, and swine means a pig. Swine is a female pig. No, it's not. What am I talking about? It's a generic term for pigs, and often we use it as an insult. You say, you swine, and it's quite good. But no, the female pig is called a sow. So it's giving pearls to pigs. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, cast pearls before swine. Okay, I need to look up the translation of beaver because many of you will not know it. So I need to find it. Eager beaver. What does it mean? When someone is enthusiastic, when competing a task or goes beyond what is expected of them, you can be referred to as an eager beaver. You've completed the assignment already. You're an eager beaver. Okay. Beaver. B-E-A-V-E-R. Beaver. Castor. There you go. It's what you see in Canada in the rivers, the castor. It's a beaver. So yeah, just if you are enthusiastic about doing some work or something, you can give someone she's an eager beaver, he's an eager beaver, is enthusiastic about doing their work. Next one is great, especially when you're in meetings. Let's say it's the elephant in the room. Okay, if someone mentions an elephant in the room, they are referring to a very obvious problem. Everyone is aware of this problem, but no one wants to mention it because it's uncomfortable. We all knew that Harry lied in front of everyone last week. It was the elephant in the room. Perhaps if you're having a meeting with your boss, or for example, it's the end or it's your appraisal, how you did during the year. And your boss, they're talking about everything, but they're not talking about a raise in salary. And they said they would talk about it with you during your appraisal. And she knows that you want to talk about it, but you're not saying it's the elephant. It's like there's an elephant in the room. It's a very big, obvious problem situation, but it's like everybody is not talking about the elephant in the room. So it's a really, really useful, good expression. How can you not notice an elephant in the room? It is so obvious. So the elephant in the room is the problem or the situation that everybody knows, but is not talking about. Number 10, flogging a dead horse. To repeatedly moan or complain about something that cannot be changed, or to go over old arguments that were in the past. Stop bringing it up. You're flogging a dead horse at this point. To bring something up is to talk about something or to say, mention something in a meeting. So you could, if I start talking about salaries, I bring up the topic of salaries. I bring it up. I mention it. I start talking about it. I start the conversation. Flogging a dead horse. You're like, to flog is to do this. The horse is dead. You're wasting your time. So stop flogging a dead horse. You're wasting your time talking about this situation. Hold your horses. The idiom is another common way of telling someone to wait or slow down. It's like, I would say just wait. Don't act too quickly. Relax, calm down, hold your horses. If you've got your horses, don't be hitting them. Let's go. Hold your horses, relax, calm down, wait. Hold your horses. In the doghouse. If someone is in the doghouse, then they are in trouble or someone is upset with them. He shouldn't have said that to her. He'll be in the doghouse now. Yes, you're not a popular person. You're in the doghouse. You're in trouble. You're in the doghouse. Could be in work. You've done something. You're not very popular at the moment. You're in the doghouse. Next, kill two birds with one stone. This means to get two tasks completed at once. I went grocery shopping and collected my parcel on the way home. Managed to kill two birds with one stone. All right. Okay. The main thing was to go grocery shopping. But at the same time, you took the opportunity, aprovechar, you took the opportunity to collect something in the post office, the correos or somewhere else, to do two tasks, to kill two birds with one stone. Okay, and I'm going to leave it there for the moment because I want to look at the phrases. And this is the other ones. We'll look at the rest on another day. So let's just go to our phrases. Okay, well, we have our spinning earth in the background. Today is Wednesday. It is also known as Hump Day. Hump is like a bump. A hump like on a camel. So it's the middle of the week. How do you guys feel generally at the middle of the week? Does it feel more like the start of the week and then Thursday, Friday is the end? Or do you feel like, yes, it's Wednesday. Okay, good. We're coming down to the end. It's known as Hump Day. More so in the United States. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try and with Morning Coffee with James O Reilly. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays in association with LK Formación, tailor-made solutions for your business. And we're on from 8:30 to 9:30 Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Okay, here we go. To bite off more than you can chew. To bite off. So here I have something and I bite off more than I can chew. Is to chew, I think, is masticar. I've taken more than I can chew. So what does that mean? Aceptar mucho más trabajo del que puedes manejar. We bit off more than we could chew in our original reform proposals. So it's irregular verb, to bite. I bit. I didn't bited an apple. I bit an apple. Okay, so aceptar mucho más trabajo del que puedes manejar. To bite off more than you can chew. Okay, so don't accept too much work. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Next one, to go for broke. To go for broke. Se refiere a arriesgar todo lo que se tiene puede conseguir lo que queremos obtener. To go for broke. Okay, let's give you the example. She decided to go for broke and pursue her acting career full time. I think the translation for pursue is buscar. Okay, to follow. So to go for broke, she decided to go for broke and pursue her acting career full time. If you imagine the woman is working in marketing, but she really loves, she wants to be an actor. Again, in the past we would say actress, but now we're trying to make everything neutral. A big problem here in Spain because you have masculine and feminine, but in English we're trying to say not actress, actor. Everybody's an actor, and where you can possibly make people neutral now, we try and do this. Bit more difficult for you guys. It's a political issue here. I'm not going to talk about it. To go for broke. So refiere a arriesgar todo lo que se tiene para conseguir lo que queremos obtener. You understand anyway in English. I don't even need to do these translations. Okay. To brainstorm. This is what you do at meetings. Okay. Give you an example. Let's brainstorm on this for a little while. Se utiliza para referirse a las lluvias de ideas. Es decir, dedicar algún tiempo a pensar y sacar muchas ideas sobre un tema o problema concreto. Okay, just get lots of ideas. To brainstorm. Okay, to get lots of ideas. Okay, so if we start off a meeting and we are in the marketing department or we need ideas, we say, okay, let's just brainstorm. Just shout out what comes to your mind. We'll write it down and see what happens. Okay. What have we got here? After brainstorm, let's go and give you something else. To stay on top of. To stay on top of. Tener el control. No permitir que el trabajo se acumule ni retrasarte. I will stay on top of this project. To stay on top of your work is the most common one. To stay on top of something means to have something under your control. Stay on top of your work. Stay on top of your team. Have everything in control. Okay, great stuff. That's some things. You've heard my attempt at Spanish. I'm reading out loud at night time, but my son didn't let me last night. I tried, but he was like, no, we're doing this one. So I didn't get the opportunity, but I do find it really helps me just reading out loud. And just kid stories, to be honest, for the pronunciation. Fantastic. Okay, thanks very much for joining me. Me, James O Reilly, in association with Elica Formación Consultoria. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a fantastic Wednesday. No, I'll see you on Friday. Have a fantastic Wednesday. All the best.